You were at Stamford Bridge on Saturday?
I was at Stamford Bridge on Saturday.
In disguise?
I was... I have
That's
to
not
say,
on the list, by the way. I didn't like the talking points.
my heart rate was through the roof getting off the tube. I have to say, I had a baseball hat on and I went to the game through a friend of mine. I went in to watch and I just thought it was a bunch of school kids in a classroom with no teacher.
You are listening to House of Football, brought to you by Sports Joe and William Hill.
Hello, I'm Eric Lawler. Welcome to House of Football with William Hill and Sports Joe. This is our episode 8, which is fantastic. I'm delighted to welcome back to the studio, friend of the show, Irish international, ex-Premier League footballer, and the man who will eventually lead Waterford to an All-Ireland hurling title, the one, the only Mr. Stephen Hunt. Stephen, you're very welcome back. Also joining us today, making his debut on the House of Football podcast, is Sports Joe's finest, Rob. Is it Rob or Robbie Redmond? Rob, what would you prefer?
I prefer Robbie, but
everyone
calls me Rob, though.
Yeah,
so.
do you know what? I'm going to stick with Robbie because, you know, Robbie Williams wouldn't sound as glamorous if he was just known as Rob Williams.
That's a great
He
point.
sounds like a plumber. You know what I mean? When you think of Robbie Williams, you're going, international entertainer. So I'm going to call you Robbie from now on, Robbie.
Yeah.
He is the brains and brawn behind this very podcast. So welcome, Robbie, making your House of Football debut.
Eric.
All right.
And he's wrote that himself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading Robbie's script here. No, not at all. Do you let me write my own little bit of script, especially the intro? So, listen, lads, we're going to get straight into it. We're going to start off this week's podcast with the good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of good things happened over the weekend, and I'm going to throw out a few examples, and then you can come in and tell me what you thought your good highlight was of the weekend. For me, like, there's a few highlights. Like, you look at the Gundogan's goal for City against Everton, outrageous piece of skill. Eze's goal for Palace, his second goal in particular, was outrageous. There's Bielsa football is coming to Uruguay. Now, that just seems like an incredible mix. Uruguay known for many, many years for their dogged defensive, almost physical assassins, and now going to be playing this free-flowing, all-attacking football under Bielsa, and I am here to see it. Brighton's performance against Arsenal at the Emirates was, to my mind, probably the finest Premier League performance of the season. I know I waxed lyrical last week saying how impressed I was with Arsenal with their win at Newcastle, but equally, and even more so, Brighton's performance of dismantling Arsenal. And now I know people are saying Arsenal bottled it, but I just thought Brighton were so good. There was nothing Arsenal could do about it. I'm a League of Ireland fan. A lot of people know that, and they say, well, why aren't you talking about more League of Ireland? Well, here's my little League of Ireland piece. I'm a massive League of Ireland fan, and a huge thing happened over the weekend. The newest football club in Irish football, Kerry FC, registered their very first win in the first division this weekend with a win over Athlone Town. So huge congratulations and kudos to Kerry FC, and I hope it's the first of many wins for the newest club in the League of Ireland. So there we go, lads. There's my good from the weekend. As I said, my favourite piece is the Kerry win. I'll throw it out to yourself. I'll go to you, Stephen. Anything good happened to you over the weekend, or what were you severely impressed with over the weekend?
Brighton. Just simply fantastic. Every pattern of movement, every scenario that Arsenal tried to press them, they just knew where to go, where to squeeze. Right from the goalkeeper right through to the centre forward, and they were brilliant. Yeah,
your man Steele, the goalkeeper, like he's brought in to, like he was a backup goalkeeper, wasn't he?
Player,
yeah,
like.
But he's so good with his feet, and you can see why he's in ahead now of Sanchez, is it?
Yeah. Sanchez is gone.
He's in ahead of him, and you can see why. And he just to the point where he looks almost arrogant. He's toying with the ball and he's waiting for the Arsenal press. He's waiting, and the Arsenal fans were booing him, I noticed, but it's not. He's in possession of the ball. What's he supposed to do? Like, kick because the Arsenal fans are booing him. But as you said, he played around it so beautifully.
And even if they don't press him, he keeps coming out with the ball. So and he's that good. He actually can pick off passes. They're being coached magnificently, to be fair.
Yeah, and this is what they're so different to other Premier League teams.
Yeah,
like they're bamboozling every team they come up against. The play starts in the 6-yard box.
Yeah,
if you want to come on to them, and then they just pop it around you.
And I mean, there's no surprise that the player with the highest amount of touches in the Premier League is Dunk. Dunk, and because everything goes through him. I know it starts with Steele.
There's a start where they think they can give it to Dunk.
Yeah,
but Dunk has 15 different options. He has a different scenario for them all, and
incredible.
And they can go from there. So I think you look at Casido.
Oh, he's amazing.
He started off at 60 million in January. He's now, Declan Rice is 120 apparently, but he's not. But Casido is worth 100 million.
His value must be going up because he's shown, he's brilliant in midfield, but he's been playing right full the last couple of games, and he looks equally brilliant there as well.
He's just like a universal footballer. He can do anything.
He's the new Kante, in my opinion. A young Kante.
Definitely.
Kante's picking up his injuries after all these all them
catching up
kilometres he
with
was
him now,
running.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And even Matoma, I thought it was great that Ben White just switched wings, and it's like, I'm going to get a lot of joy here, and he was going at Ben White and going at him the whole match. They're just so good. Like, going into the game, they're so well prepared, so tactically strong, but just like in-game management as well. Like, for all the ways that Arsenal to lose it, it was so convincing. It was just brilliant to watch.
And it shows that they do, as you say, like their pre-game tactics. They obviously do a lot of analysis on the team that they're playing against, and we just wax lyrical about the fact that they play football through the lines. They patiently wait for the Arsenal press, but also they identified that Matoma had Ben White for pace, and they would hit that long ball. And like so they switch from all the little short knee passing to the long ball. People like to call it agricultural football, but it's effective football.
He was like a prime Stephen Hunt.
Yeah, you go to where could I play now? Like, I think maybe left back would be the best, or wing back. In them scenarios, but they do. If you invite pressure like they do, and he stays on the ball, and the whole team normally comes together, they will hit that one over the top. And goalkeepers these days are Beckenbauers of the team, and they're hitting balls.
The only shame for me, sorry, Eric, is that they could miss out on top 4 over Newcastle.
Yeah,
being bought by the Saudis.
And
it's like, gee, Brighton done everything right.
Yeah,
and they go against that scene. I know Liverpool are ahead at the moment, but imagine they were in the Champions League. They're good enough. At the moment.
I mean, I love them, and I think they probably will. But I'd love them to get European football.
Yeah,
because have they ever played European football? I'm not sure.
Never.
No,
I heard commentator. They never played.
It'd be
European
amazing,
football,
and they deserve it because for me, other than City and Arsenal, they've been the team of the season. They've been absolutely
great
brilliant.
to watch.
Just in that game as well, there was an incident, a couple of incidents at the start of the game where we mentioned Matoma. Matoma was cleaned out by Martinelli, and he didn't even get booked. And like, it was a free kick, all right. But the fact that Matoma wasn't even looking at Martinelli, he wasn't braced for the challenge, and he got taken out with the little arm, the little dig into his face. And it was a really dangerous challenge. It reminded me back in I'm showing my age here, right? And it's still there on YouTube. Back in the 1982 World Cup, Harald Schumacher, the German goalkeeper, took out the French centre-forward Patrick Battiston with a horrible challenge and knocked him clean out, and he went back and he had to be carried off, and then Germany were the bad guys. They went on to win on penalties, but that's neither here nor there. But that's what that challenge reminded me of. But then 5 minutes later, and Roy Keane commented on it. I thought it was very telling that Roy Keane commented on it. He said, there's Caicedo being a really good teammate and sticking one on Martinelli after what he did to his mate Matoma. And I was supposed to come to you, Steve. Is that a thing with teams that are tight-knit? If you see one of your, say, for want of a better expression, flair players being taken out or bullied, are the hard men of that team going, I've got your back, I'll get him now in a minute?
Do you know what? It's rare these days. It's hard to get someone back knowing and you're on a yellow card and the speed of the game.
Yeah, and you're VAR'd as well.
And there's no hiding place anymore, so it's very difficult to get one on. When you can get one on, and then obviously Caicedo has it in him. He's aggressive. He's a rat. I think actually one of the commentators saying he was ratting around. I went, that's surely not allowed these days. But obviously you can, and I'm going with it now, because if he gets away with it on Sky, I can say here, right?
Did you have anyone in your team, Stephen, who would be that kind of enforcer guy?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
Just waiting for it to happen. Like Glenn Whelan, I think.
Really?
Keith Andrews had a little bit of anger issues most of the time. He'd like look after you, look over your shoulder. He'd be there for you. Even if you were in the wrong, he'd still be there for you. Actually, we're going to touch on Glenn later, I think. But even from that point of view, he was always clever enough when to take a booking, when not to take a booking, and look after you. But listen, I think if I get smashed in a game, I was only sent off twice in 22 years.
Right, so that's because you were playing before VAR.
There's a bit of that too, right? I always knew when I was on the edge. I always knew, right, if I do this, I'm going to get sent off. If I do this, I'm on the line. I always knew what I get away with, whether by chatting to the referee.
You knew how far to push it.
Knew how far to push it. Chatting to the referee before the game, having a bit of banter with him. I come out of the Newcastle change rooms and Joey Barton, Kevin Nolan were in the referee's ear. And I mean, they were grilling them, like, and I stood in the middle and went, what are you at, like? What are you doing? Like, just leave him alone, like. And the people, they wanted to kill me, both of them. But I always remember Joey wants players off me now, like, so it's a bit different now. But it is what it is, and you deal with it tactically by verbally with the manager, or you can have a good smash of someone knowing that you'll get away with it because you've seen what the referees let go. Yeah. You take advantage of that straight away.
I thought it was great. I know it should be great injuring players.
Yeah.
Especially not flair players.
I don't think you meant to injure them.
From a spectator's point of view, you're watching Arsenal all season and they play on the line, like Arteta's in the mounting off all game. He's in the ear of the Lions man. If you're not an Arsenal fan, I think it bothers me a little bit to watch it. Arsenal do
this is the thing, right, Robbie? I can call you Robbie now.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like, Arteta doesn't have that Guardiola smile for me. Guardiola has that killer on the touchline. Sometimes he does the yellow card and it winds up, but then he smiles. Arteta hasn't smiled yet.
Yes.
He's just been so intense with it all season.
Yeah.
He's just getting what he's been giving out, really. Because he's been giving it out. I tweeted 2 months ago, you're just not going to win the league.
No.
Because nobody likes you. If you smile at the end of the yellow card, you might get away with it. I'm joking.
Yeah.
He had none of that. He was wrapped up in his own intensity of the game, how he is, and it's coming back to bite him now.
Even Ferguson had a bit of charm, like Fergie, even Klopp.
Yeah,
he was like, he's a very angry man. Most of the time, apart from when they're winning.
But I mean, there's no manager for better than smiling than Klopp.
Yeah,
like
with them teeth, you can smile.
Yeah, he sure can.
But with Arsenal, it's like this: what goes around comes around. Like if you're going to have these little, like I've seen him giving out about time wasted. I'm like, lads, you're time wasting after 20 minutes against Liverpool at Anfield. Like, this is the way it goes.
Newcastle last week as well.
This is the way it goes.
You remember. So let alone the referees that have to study him and watch previous games.
Yeah.
The referees just don't turn up on a Saturday now. They actually watch previous games. Who is diving? Who's
they're doing their analysis now as well.
Yeah, they're as busy as anyone these days. They're as busy as me, and that takes a lot of going.
Did anything else stand out for you in that game, the Arsenal-Brighton? You're saying your Brighton performance was the standout thing.
Arteta, not as vocal, not as...
He's defeated.
Almost resigned to defeat.
Resigned. How can I now prepare myself for the next phase of Arsenal and what way to go with it? And listen, he in his head he's thinking Man City, of course he is, and what's next for me, whether it's Real Madrid or he's taking Arsenal to 11 now. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think he's looking ahead next
Where
job.
do you go next year? Liverpool look like to be back at it. Man United will only get better. Ten Hag's no fool. He knows what he needs to improve. The team, he's ruthless enough. He's shown already with Ronaldo. Out you go. We can
Phil
improve.
Jones.
Phil Jones.
He's finally been released. Yeah, finally.
After 12 years.
He's almost like. Would you not be embarrassed a little bit having played little games, 5-6 years, turning up at a new club and trying to get in the team?
I personally wouldn't. I'd be happy to play one game for Man United, but you might, Stephen.
Actually, I say this, I contradict myself. Matt Doherty went to Atletico Madrid, played 10 minutes. He'll have it on the CV.
Yeah, like
Phil Jones. By no means Matt Doherty's no Phil Jones. He's only had 3-4 months, God bless him, to try and get in the team, and he's not played. But I would be, as a player, Phil Jones, embarrassed where he goes next. Because where does he go next? What club takes him?
Do you know what? I think, like, I obviously just careful what we say about Phil Jones, because he had obviously a lot of those mental health issues, and, you know, mainly through social media and whatever. But I remember when United bought him, and he was 18 or 19, and he was already captain of Blackburn. And he looked like a really promising central defender. And when we bought him, Ferguson famously said that this kid could be as good as Duncan Edwards.
Well, that was the end of him.
Probably was.
Come out and say that. Our best ever player.
Listen, we're touching on mental health. We're talking football here, so I understand where we're at. But He's had 6 years of not playing.
Yeah.
And we can be mistaken by, and we got to be careful, of course we have. And he's a good lad by all accounts.
Of course, yeah.
But he's got to turn up now. And I don't know from a point of view where he's going to go and play. And he'll gain his respect by coming into pre-season, not by the first day, by 4 weeks down the line, by training hard. Obviously, he's not a bad apple. He's a good pro.
Yeah.
He'll have to gain his respect that way and then get in the team and play games. Otherwise, he's just...
Yeah.
But
he's getting there on reputation.
Originally, it'll be where to place him. And then after that, he'll be so happy to be involved and have a chance of playing.
Yeah.
He'll probably think, what have I been doing for 5 years?
Yeah. He'll get the hunger and the love back again for it,
But to go back to Arsenal and the bad, I think I've been saying it for months, like, not that anyone would believe me. I never could see them lifting. I could never see them winning. I don't even know if it was necessarily a bottle job, but just to drop all those points. And like they could have won the Premier League without beating Man City once. And it's just too easily kind of written off. Oh, well, what do you expect from Man City? Like, I think they've dropped so many points. 12 points I think they've dropped in the last
7 games or something like that.
It's mad. Like, and I think a lot of it comes from Arteta, maybe. Like, he's obviously a really good coach. He's done very well, but I just think sometimes you can see him with like a negative mind frame, and he's in their ear and he's mounting off. I don't know what it's like, Stephen. I wouldn't want to listen to that.
I think it brings you to a certain level, and then you have to have a little bit of Klopp charisma.
Yeah.
And we moaned about Klopp the last time and his behaviour, but you need to have that smile too.
Yeah.
To go with it.
You put the arm around the shoulder, and then
you can see the twinkle in Pep's eye when he's doing an interview every now and again. He'll have a smile. He'll go, you cheeky bugger, kind of thing. But he'll smile at you. Arteta's been just so serious.
Yeah.
Because he had to bring in the intensity to get Arsenal back on track. And then you got to adapt yourself to a situation like.
And he's so emotionally intense. I remember when I really thought it's not going to happen, not going to win it. They beat Bournemouth in the last minute in March.
Nelson.
And like the energy, and it was great to watch. Like, and the energy was amazing. But you're like, lads, it's March. It's Bournemouth. I didn't play at that level, but even Man United would have one of those games this season when I was a kid. Like McKay scored, remember?
Yeah, against Villa.
Or
even
Steve Bruce
going back to the
scored.
very before Steve Bruce against Sheffield
You
Wednesday.
can't be having those matches in March.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Robbie, you feel like you're getting a buzz off this.
Yeah. It's a bit cathartic.
But that's what Arteta has brought.
Yeah.
With the February-March intensity.
Yeah.
Brings I wouldn't mind if you didn't win it now.
Yeah, but I think in fairness, to be play devil's advocate. In fairness to Arteta and Arsenal, I think they celebrated that win so much because they were 2 goals down at one stage.
Yeah,
and
in
they
the
won
context
3-2.
of the game, it's amazing. Yeah,
but because of the beast that is Manchester City in pursuit and their relentless pursuit, like Liverpool found this. Liverpool could have won the league 4 or 5 times if City weren't around.
Yeah.
But because they knew they couldn't even afford to draw a match, never mind win every match. I suppose that's what added to fueled Arsenal celebration that day and got them the 3 points.
They're right to celebrate. It's just
it was a little bit OTT.
Yeah, if you step back a little bit, you're like, don't think that's a team that wins the Premier League just because it was too soon. They were on, and like Man City still had to play them. So you're like, I don't know. I just felt like it was too much too soon, and Arteta brings that type of energy, I think, from the sidelines. This real, it's great emotional intensity, but at times it might fall flat in his face. And maybe he is thinking of his next job now.
It's experience as well of going with it. It's not easy. Like he has the intensity of meet a Monday or Tuesday or Thursday twice a week, asking questions. Can you do it? And it drains you.
Yeah,
being week in, week out, competing at the Premier League level. Listen, I've never done it, but I've done it at the Championship on several occasions. And I think it's a long season, lads. Try not to get too excited and see if we can.
And does there come a point in your season where, like, because you got promoted at Reading and you're like, we have it now, we're going to do it. Like, no one's going to stop us.
No
now.
joke, we were celebrating in March because we were 15, 20 points clear. We were just on a roller coaster of a ride. We were just winning games. We were
that's the record season.
Yeah, the record. We shouldn't talk about it.
Go on, tell us a little bit more, Steve.
We chatted about it last time. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
But it's a good reference point to the fact that you said you were able to switch off come March. You had your flip flops on already and your sunglasses prepared for the beaches.
I think we were 20 points clear. Wow. 20, like Burnley are.
Yeah.
And I really thought our record was gone this year until Burnley messed up a couple of times.
They went to the beach earlier.
They actually went to the beach earlier. Actually, there's a few teams on the beach at the moment. The ugly bit was West Ham. Yeah. They were terrible on Sunday. I went to watch them live and they were...
Oh, you were at the game, Steve?
At the game.
Right.
Against Brentford. Brentford could have had 4 or 5. Now, granted, when I got there, they had 8 changes for West Ham, and I thought, okay, good chance for some of the boys, but some of them looked just not played much. You get that, but some of them looked like they're on the beach. Right, and is it because of the change? Is probably because of the semi-final second leg against AZ. On Thursday. So which will be an amazing achievement for West Ham if they get there. Their first European final in 67 years or something like that, which would be incredible. Yeah. Robbie, good from the weekend. What was your good? Good for me. Or Brighton again. Yeah. Bad would have been. It's bad. Leicester's another one that it's kind of sad to watch. Like FA Cup 2 years ago, missed out on Champions League last day of the season in 21 and 20, and they won the league in 2016. Yeah, and like a few bad transfer windows. It's a mad fall from grace. Where's Alan Corley now? Madison. I'll be there. Watch them as well. Come on, I can give it to him, lad. But yeah, that was kind of sad to watch, I suppose. But it also shows the kind of levels that are involved in top sport. That Steve, you know, like that. If you're just not on it for a couple of months, or a bad transfer window, or wherever it might be. You're talking to a guy who's been relegated from the Premier League 3 times. So I know all about it. When you get in that position, it's hard to get out of it. Hard to get out of it. Yeah. It's a slog. Nothing goes right for you. You've no pattern of play. You're trying to make things happen. Jamie Vardy, to be fair to him, is running around like a greyhound trying to get after things, but there's no players behind him chasing. Yeah. So you're wasting your time, Jamie. You might as well just stand still. You start looking for kind of like scapegoat, Steve, and like start that manager. And that happens behind the scenes. Like, I think actually a lot of the players, including Johnny Evans at half time, they all looked a bit shocked. Yeah. Like, who's going to go in there and go, what was that? Yeah. Because it was that bad, but everyone's so bad you can't really say much. Yeah. Everyone's drained. So you're looking for the manager, really. You almost want the manager to come in and hammer you. Yeah. But if you're that bad for a certain period of time, he's doing it every week. Yeah. I'll never forget Steve Coppell come in one time and said nothing. Oh, okay. And put his hands on the table like this, and just shook his head with disappointment.
That's even
And
worse.
walked. The sickly feeling in my tummy, like I was like, hammering me, like.
That's like when you're a kid and you've done something and your parents come to you. I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. And you feel terrible. You're like, oh no!
Yeah.
Well, give me a smack, man. Oh, I'm just disappointed. You know.
You'd rather get it out of the way. My 8-year-old will go, oh, okay, no problem. My 13-year-old would be devastated. She would be. She'd be like, oh, I'm disappointed.
Just go on, Robbie.
The ugly one for me, Eric, would be probably Man United and the mess with the ownership.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Man United fan. I've actually hit that for years, but it's obvious from my Twitter account.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Like yourself, Robbie.
Well, it is now.
Yeah, but it's like, I love them, obviously, but at the same time, they very frustrate me. And I've got more on board this season with Ten Hag, but you just know what's coming. Like, I seen a report there, like, Dean Henderson may come back to Man United, or they may send him on loan, or they may sell him. I'm like, so they don't actually know what they're going to do with anyone. Yeah. So they're not going to get Kane. They need a midfielder, need a centre-half, need a goalkeeper. I think they've got your man David Ray off Brentford.
Yeah.
So you need like probably 5 players. Yeah. You just know it's not going to happen.
No. And also, as you say, like, I mean, most of the top clubs, the good clubs, the well-run clubs, like Brighton we mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Brighton have already made moves.
Like, you're an agent, Stephen. You're probably busier now than you're going to be a couple of months, like teams stuff
active
up.
And
the
goalkeeping market is going to be fascinating because Sanchez is not playing, who's obviously extremely talented.
Yeah.
Obviously has issues with Brighton not playing, so that'll determine where he goes. He could play for a top 4 team, no problem at all. But
Kelleher.
Capabilities. Kelleher is going to move. Brett Rea is going to move. There's 3 straight away.
Yeah.
That need goalkeepers. Spurs will need one, if not 2.
Yeah.
Coming up, Burnley are looking to sign, I think, Trafford from Bolton, who's at Man City, who's like the Bazuna, really.
There's a fella called Trafford that used to play for Man City.
There's a fella called Trafford.
He used to play for Man
He's
City.
On loan from Man City to Bolton.
Wow.
Quite good, actually.
And when he gets experience, they'll be calling him Old Trafford.
He could play at Old Trafford. I think there's a few of them, like, but he might play at Old Trafford next year.
Yeah.
Sheffield United. Listen, I think by my calculations, there's 10 to 12 clubs in the Premier League needing goalkeepers.
So if you're not starting planning now, like you're at the back of the queue, basically, are you?
Well, I think I was at 2-3 games of the weekend at the Premier League level, and it's important. Yeah.
That brings us on to Chelsea, Eric. Anyway,
yeah, the like Chelsea, like the club. It seems like, I know the new owners, Todd Bowley, came on board and invested a hell of a lot of money. People would argue that he spent way too much money. Potter was never in control of the signings. He was just shipped in a big van load of players going, right, make them into a great team, which is almost an impossible task for any manager. I don't care how good or bad you are. And now Lampard's in there, and, you know, God bless Frank. Again, I'm sure he's a nice lad. He does come across a decent lad, but it looks like managing a top team isn't for him. They've only had 1 win in the 8 games that he's been in charge of. It's been pretty grim, and now there's already, I see them being linked with, they're planning on making a bid for Osimhen from Napoli, but like, they've already struck a deal to bring in your man, what's his name from Leipzig, the striker, Mpeke or whatever. Listen, he'll correct me, but he looks at a top level striker. But like, again, like, they've loads of players. They have to ship off loads of players, and yet they're still bringing in more players. Like,
that's it.
What?
How tough will it be, Stephen, basically, for Pochettino to come into that absolute mess?
I think he'll come in. He's probably already assessing the squad as he's from behind the scenes, probably doing a lot of work. X, Y, and Z can go. They have to be gone by pre-season, so people now know there's players available. Can they be sold? If not, they're not going to be in my dressing room to start the season, because you can't have 45 players with egos turning up first day of pre-season going, right, show me your body fat. They'll all be laughing at each other going, you won't be here next week, or neither will you, by the looks of it. So, like, even Mudrik's turned up for a hell of a lot of money not being seen. So I was at the game on Saturday. It looked like Chelsea were, I said earlier.
You were at Stamford Bridge on Saturday?
I was at Stamford Bridge on Saturday.
Were you in disguise?
I have to say,
on the list, by the way. I didn't like talking points.
My heart rate was through the roof getting off the tube. I have to say, I had a baseball hat on, and I went to the game through a friend of mine. I went in to watch, and I just thought it was a bunch of school kids in a classroom with no teacher. And I actually think
that was the impression you got. Yeah,
that was the impression I got. And I actually think Nottingham Forest weren't too far off the same as well.
Really?
Okay,
they've been thrown together.
Yeah,
they still don't look like a complete team. I have to say, they're a bunch of individuals, but Chelsea look like a bunch of individuals that didn't really have any responsibility to answer to. I feel sorry for Frank, because I think he's a young manager. He's a genuine good lad. I think
he does.
He's trying to make. He's been thrown at the deep end. He knew he wasn't going to get anything, only grief by doing this.
Yeah,
there was no win for him. He was never getting the job. But
he did it for the love of the club.
love of the club, and I think for his experience, I think
Yeah.
he's not stupid, Frank. He's losing hair as quick as me, so he must be obviously stressing about it. Like so,
He shouldn't. He should just wipe his hands with it. It's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
It's one of the only times where I don't think he's been a particularly good manager. Not for me to say I'm not a particularly good
No,
manager
but
either. But from the outside looking in, you're like, I don't think he's suited for it. I think he'd be a great pundit. But you're looking at, but this is one of the only times you're like, actually, there's not a lot you really can do here.
Yeah,
like.
he had Paul Clement with him.
Yeah.
At
Derby.
Everton and Derby.
Yeah.
That, he's a really good coach, and so obviously he's getting people in around him that has good
Did
experience.
he manage Real Madrid at one stage?
He was at Real Madrid for a
With
while.
Ancelotti's assistant.
Yeah, but
it's a
that
man,
tells you Ancelotti needed a good coach
Yeah.
beside
Yeah.
him to. Because I had Paul Clement as under 21s for Ireland.
Oh, very good.
When I had a few caps, and even then he was
And what was he like?
patterns of play was way ahead of time.
Oh, really? He was ahead of his
so
time, was he?
Ahead of his time. It was that time was he come through. Then Brendan Rodgers come after him, the clipboard manager,
Right,
as I call
okay.
him. They were all on the fashion then, like
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
interesting that you played under him. Didn't know that.
Yeah, and he won't mind me saying this, but he's got a South American wife,
Right.
and he was manager at Reading for a while. And I
Yeah.
was at the game one time, and I was sitting there. I was like, who was this mad thing in front of me? She was as passionate as Bielsa. I was on the touchline. She was fiery South American, ready to go. Listen, I said to Paul afterwards, "Geez, I wouldn't sit beside her again." It was good fun.
I suppose one of the other ugly incidents over the weekend, I touched upon it in the opening there, Stephen and Robbie, was the Barcelona won the league at their rivals, Espanyol, the local city rivals. And now I know there's a real rivalry there, and particularly from the Espanyol side, they hate Barcelona. But they won the league, and then they did their little big dance. The staff and all came out onto the centre circle, did this big ring dance, and then all of a sudden, the Espanyol ultras said, here, enough of this shit, and started running onto the pitch, and you see the Barcelona players legging it off the pitch, and it was a really mad, potentially dangerous situation. And I suppose, Stephen, if it's more to you, did you ever experience anything like that in your time where you felt endangered in a really hostile environment where you wanted to get off the pitch as quickly as possible?
Saturday against Chelsea, coming on, getting off the tube, and I was looking around me, and I could see, he looks tough, and he looks tough. And I go, where do I go? Do I stand in the middle of the crowd, or do I go outside him? But I just went with it, and I was by myself as well. I didn't really have anyone to try and say, calm down, lads. It was 10,000 Chelsea fans and me, but that's fine. I choose the route to go, which was a tube, and unfortunately I ended up being a bit early.
Okay.
I thought I was 10 to 3, I'd be okay. I arrive in, there was still loads going
Damn
in.
the efficiency of the tube, huh?
And remember you scored against them as well at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, so we had, I think, maybe 10-11 season. I was signed for Hull. I'd only actually had a hernia, but he put me straight in, Phil Brown, to be fair. Literally, I think 12 minutes gone, first Premier League game. It was an early kick-off, so it was that season. Scored, but momentum took me to the right, and I was thinking about it on Saturday at the game. I kind of ran that way, put my hand up like Shearer to go off and celebrate, and looked like, okay, these want to kill me, so I turned around.
Oh, you realised you were running towards the Chelsea fans?
I was running towards Chelsea fans,
right.
ran back towards the Hull City fans, and it was a new connection for Hull because I was only just been there a week, so it was a nice start. I actually scored on my debut and scored on my home debut as well, so I got off to a good start for them. Yeah, it was nice.
I suppose in terms of the Barcelona incident, and I spoke to you, Robbie, before the show, and I suppose I kind of, nobody wants to see that kind of nastiness at a football game.
Usually when people say that, they do want to see it, though.
Yeah. Well,
you say no one wants to see this type of stuff, and the lads are fine. You're like, we do want to see that.
But I did enjoy the Caicedo retaliation on Martinelli. I have to say, I really did.
We're not bloodthirsty, but if you're going to do Ring a Rosie
in
front of your away fans, like look, imagine Shamrock Rovers rock up, win the league at Dalymount in October, and they're all doing Ring a Rosie, and Eric's there in the crowd, all the Bows supporters.
Now, come here.
I seen Mandrew celebrate in front of the Bows fans, and he got pelters, I think.
Come here, there's a real hostility between the two clubs, let's be honest, but as I've always said, if you're a Shamrock Rovers fan, I've no hostility towards you. I mean, I love the fact that you're a League of Ireland fan first and foremost.
But to do Ring a Rosie.
But to do Ring a Rosie on Dalymount in front of the Bows fans would be, but I don't think Rovers would be silly enough to try that and do that. I think they know
I seen McPhail, who was actually Bradley and himself long go head for head, like the dugouts are far apart. They literally ran at each other like two bulls.
And it ended with Keith Long being suspended for the FAI Cup final, and he had to he had a touchline ban, so he had to watch the match from and that's why we lost. So I blame Stephen Bradley on us losing the cup as well. So, but yeah, no, come here. I wouldn't be getting involved. I wouldn't be running on the pitch myself.
The lads over,
but I might be lifting the lads over the fence, all right. Yeah, but
On you go, lads.
Yeah.
No, so like we one of the ugly things as well that was brought up in the pre-show meeting, which I thought was, and I didn't really know about it, but then I was shown a bit about it, and I loved Jason Tyndall. Do you know him, Jason Tyndall, Steve?
No,
yeah?
I don't.
Okay, so
I've seen it.
Yeah. He is the assistant manager at Newcastle to Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe, let's be honest, has done an incredible job at Newcastle, and huge kudos to him. Jason Tyndall is assistant, but he seems to be the one who wants to be taking the limelight all the time, and there's to the point where football fans have noticed this, and they've set up this Twitter account.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
What's it called?
Jason Tyndall loves being the centre of attention. It's 50,000 followers.
Already.
Yeah, and then you have other clubs getting in on it, like Athletic, Bilbao are tweeting.
So to give it a bit of context, so if you watch a Newcastle game now, the camera pans to the touchline, and you'll see Eddie Howe maybe sitting on a seat or in front of the dugout, but further in front of him on the pitch doing all the arm waving as if he's bringing in planes is Jason Tyndall, and he's a good-looking fella. Let's be honest.
He'll shake the hands of opposition managers before Eddie Howe gets the
Yeah,
chance.
I've seen and it was Gary O'Neill that highlighted it, wasn't it? He's the one that it stung him, really. He's the one that refused to shake his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Gary O'Neill, the Bournemouth manager?
Bournemouth manager.
Yeah.
He went to shake his hand and he just walked straight past him to Eddie, and he's the one that's really highlighted it, I think, and now it's taken off.
Okay, right. Speaking of, do you know what? Talking about great managers this year, Gary O'Neill, what a job he's done.
What a job,
since he's gone in there. Bournemouth were written off. They were gone. You're saying, right, Bournemouth are definitely gone. And the job he's done, they're well clear now.
Yeah.
They had the bounce in initially with a new manager, every temporary manager does well for 4 or 5, and then they had a lull, but he didn't panic.
No.
He stayed calm, he took the stick, didn't irritate anybody, a bit like
Scott Parker did.
Scott Parker, he did irritate people, I think. But
he irritated the board, didn't he? Because he said after that 9-0 defeat against Liverpool, he kind of put the blame at the door of the owners for not investing in the team, kind of thing. It's
come back to bite him now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. But he's done an amazing job. 39 points, I think they have 40 points safe now.
Well safe.
And 3 games to go. Yeah, never thought that.
Not at all. No. He's done an incredible job. Any ugly things yourself, Robbie?
No, that was probably it. I'd say just the Man United stuff. I don't know necessarily agree that Barcelona players being chased was ugly. I found that entertaining.
You have a dark side, you, Robbie. That's your problem.
To be fair, did they leg it off the pitch?
They did. Oh yeah, they sprinted.
It was awful. You can't have that, but you were at. It was.
I don't know how close the first fan was to the last Barcelona player, but I wouldn't say it was any more than 10 metres. So it was getting close. It was getting tedious. It was getting really, really tight. It was like, oh lads, if we're not out here in the next 2 seconds, we are gone.
That happened in the Premier League. That's all we'd be talking about now. It would have been the whole hour. Talking about
discussing
that.
a bit, but it's just a different culture over in Spain, I suppose. A question I want to put to both of you lads is, like, we've touched on it already. Arsenal, for want of a better expression, bottling the league. Would that be a worse collapse than either Newcastle or Man United registering a top 4 finish? Like, it looked for a long, long time that Newcastle and United have been nailed on for Champions League qualification. And now Liverpool are on this sensational run. They've won 7 in a row. Not necessarily playing brilliant football, although they were impressive enough last night against a fairly out of sorts Leicester team. But would you reckon that was a bigger bottle job than the Arsenal collapse?
No, I think Arsenal, if Arteta hadn't wound people up 2 months ago, would have been a real successful season. I think he just irritated a few people, as Robbie was smiling as he was telling the collapse. I think they'll see it, and people should see it as a success for the team, where they've come from, how they've done it. Should be a real success. Liverpool not qualifying for the Champions League at the start of the season would have been unheard of, so that would have been a bigger disaster. I think Man United were always 50-50 where they go. If they get Champions League, it'll be a plus. But Liverpool would be the biggest disappointment if they don't get Champions League, I think.
Okay,
right. I think it is probably, I don't want to call it bottle job, but bigger, maybe slip.
Yeah.
Like Man United have been very inconsistent all season. Like, lost heavily to Brentford, lost to Brighton. Good teams, but they've lost convincingly to them. Lost 7-0 to Liverpool.
One draw against the top 9 and 8 defeats.
Yeah, so like at the start of the season, obviously you would have said to Arsenal, you'll finish second, and you'd be like, Jesus, great, that's brilliant. Yeah. But just considering where they were and the form they were in, and more so the games they slipped up in, like Southampton at home. Like, the slip up in that game is like criminal nearly. Yeah. Like, Joe.ie against Brighton, fair enough, they're a good team, but they just slipped up at the worst point, whereas Man City were always going to win it. it was like in a marathon. You see the inexperienced guy go run out first, and the other guys are like the champion.
Me. Always trying to see him off early, but it never works. Like.
And wait at the back. You just know they're going to catch them.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was in Man City. He would have caught them anyway. But
no panic.
Arsenal should have at least took them to the last day. Even now it's like 2 weeks to go, and it's done.
I have question marks over the Man U manager. He gave the go ahead on Anthony.
Yeah.
Now I think Anthony is hopeless.
Really?
I think he's going to be an absolute disaster.
Eric defends him. I'm not a fan.
I'll stand up for Anthony. I think Anthony,
how many goals will he get next year?
Well, hopefully more than he got this season.
I'd say he'll get 20 on loan at Ajax.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the winger options at Manchester United, and Sancho for me has been a bigger disappointment than Anthony. And he's been afforded the time off. He didn't get picked for the England World Cup squad. Ten Hag sent him off to Holland to get specialist training and to help with his mental health. And I wish the guy well. Don't get me wrong. And he does have the tools. He looks like a really technical, skillful player, but he just lacks something for me. He just lacks a bit of oomph. I don't know what it is. Decision making.
Well, Stephen used to have that.
Yeah, that little bit of get stuck. There was a tackle actually there against Wolves on Saturday. I know United won, but there was a tackle where he pulled out, and if he had got the ball, United were in on goal. Yeah. And you're kind of going, he needs to get that little bit of oomph about him. Whereas with Anthony, right, what I see in Anthony is I know he's such a frustrating player because you see he's very skillful and he's got all the tricks, and maybe he plays the tricks too many times and he can rile up the opposition because of that, because people think he's a showboater. But I love his work ethic. I think what goes unnoticed is his work ethic. Like, he's up and down that line, and he offers a little bit of defensive cover to Wan-Bissaka.
I'm going to watch him a bit more closely on the defensive side of things.
Yeah.
I watch him to see if he's got any power and pace. Ronaldo always had pace.
Yeah.
With his tricks, he'd take off and he could be fast.
Yeah.
Ronaldo built muscle, self-made, best player with Messi in the world for sure. But I'm just not sure Anthony has that.
I understand where you're coming from, Stephen.
I'd agree as well about the wider thing about Ten Hag. Like, I think he's obviously done a really good job.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done as great a job as a lot of United fans might think he has done. I think sometimes his squad management, he's overplayed certain lads, like playing full strength team in the League Cup, and you're like, you're going to need these guys. So if they miss out on top four from his perspective, that's a bit of a disaster.
They have gone flat though. They are
very
2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah, they look like they've run out of steam a little bit, don't
4
they?
points will get them there, but just restock and rebuild then in the summer. But I'm still not sure. I still probably would have preferred Pochettino at United.
I'm very happy with Ten Hag and what he's done, and I think we have the makings of a really good manager. And I genuinely think if he does get the backing that he's hoping he gets, but it's still a grey area now. Who are the new owners? Obviously, he'd love to be able to be planning now, but he can't because he doesn't know who owns the club and how much money he has to spend. So I feel sorry for him in that way. But I think if he does get the right backing, I think Ten Hag is the man who will eventually win the Premier League for Man United. I genuinely do.
I can't see it.
No.
Man City are just going
unless Pep goes on holidays for 2 years.
Oh, Pep, yeah.
That's the only hope. Pep is
that's the great outlier.
He's the new Ferguson. Like, the only time the leveler. Like, if Pep goes, you'll know, Stephen, when another manager comes in, like, they're not going to want to be as intense. It's not going to be able to be as intense as they were under Pep. It's going to take a special person, Arteta or Vincent Kompany. I don't know. But I just don't know if they'll have that level they're at, and that will be the level.
It's like taking over from Sir Alex, really, on a different
Poison
level.
Chalice,
Poison Chalice.
Ferguson retired in 2013.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, and in those 10 years, Manchester United have never finished ahead of Manchester City.
And he won't probably for another while. Man City is too good, and that's what I was going to ask you,
I'm
Steve.
sitting here a Liverpool fan, I'm enjoying this. Keep going, lads. I don't have to say that, and I'm winning that.
That's what I was going to ask you, Steve, because you played against Man United 07 to 09. That was like a really, really great team. Where would you have Man City? Because they're all debating now.
So, Man United were always pace and power under Fergie. Always, like, literally 4-4-2, some really talented players. Arsenal were always the team that had different patterns of play, different movements. The Man City team now, they're just everywhere. The full-backs are inside. Like, Trent last night played a game. I'm looking and I'm going, this is different. This is a different ball game. Like I go to Brentford on Sunday. Nobody knows who I am. I had 4 years there. I was a legend there for 4 years. And
you should have run a Corley wig.
The new generation of fans that are at Brentford now have no idea because they just gathered so much momentum. Yeah. It's a bit like this similar style of play with Man City. It's just a total different game. And I see all these ex-pros that come in and say, the game hasn't changed. Let me tell you.
It has changed.
It's quicker. Really? There's more dynamic. It's changed in terms of... It might not cover any more distance, but it's different movements, different awareness of where you're at. Like, and Trent is playing balls like it's just like he's playing at home.
Yeah.
And Brighton play that way. Just listen, it takes some courage to play a game now.
You touched upon that with Guardiola and the way he has kind of reinvented football to an extent, but Robbie, if I could turn to you on this one, the Champions, they're like the second leg against Real's coming up. A lot of people are saying that the only thing that can happen to Manchester City is if Guardiola overthinks it. Because I all remember that final against Chelsea where he played with no striker and tried to do something that would catch everybody out. Now, I don't know whether that's an ego thing or whether it's,
Haaland's playing midfield.
Yeah.
Good luck telling them that.
But he's trying to. It's like almost sometimes he's trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And come here, listen. He is a pioneer in world football, an amazing manager.
He settled upon this wheel, and it's like
yeah.
like
but could he be the man? Do you think he could be the man that could ruin it for them basically by overthinking it?
No, definitely not. I know that's been levelled at him in the past, but now it's not easy. But like you've Erling Haaland, you've Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Like how can you mess that up?
You have Jack.
He's playing great.
As my daughter calls him Jackie Grealish.
Jackie Grealish. I like that. I like that. I'd say if he heard that, he'd prefer that.
Yeah, he might prefer. We would have preferred that if he played at Ireland, but now you can call him what you want. Now I think that's a bit harsh. But so he's not going to drop him. He's Foden is now a squad player for the last 2 months, so you can't really change it that much. Like the only thing they change is that Mahrez plays against the weaker teams based on his ability to go past people. Like they'll play Silva or whatever. Who pronounce his name from the other one's on fire, out of contract, playing well. Gundogan. He's playing off the right sometimes. So there's not much movement they can do now. He's settled the last couple of months. They're winning. Even he can't mess it up now in terms of because he has been too clever. Yeah. He has played the 9 and he has complicated his team. But listen, 6'5" Haaland is the difference. Because even if Madrid score 1 or 2, I still think Man City can score 2 or 3.
Yeah, true.
Like CJ Gundogan, it was a lovely pass, but he just dinked it into the area. You just knows this 6'5" absolute powerhouse is going to hammer it home, or he's going to run in behind. He can do anything. It's scary, and it's scary in a wider note because Man City have like unlimited resources. The probably best football coach ever. Maybe Alex Ferguson was a better manager in the traditional sense. Then he's like the best players, and it's just like who can actually stop them? Real Madrid are underdogs. 13-time European champions are underdogs.
So it almost looks like Haaland looks like he's planned his career out.
Oh yeah,
4 years here, 4 years Man City, 4 years Real Madrid. But his dad did his best to mess that up during the week, didn't he? He was throwing peanuts at the fans. He was doing everything.
What happened there? Tell me this.
Oh, he was up in a box and he got escorted out by the guards, police, whatever you want to call them.
Haaland?
Yeah, he was throwing peanuts down at the fans. He was egging them on. They had to come and get him because he was irritating the fans.
Oh, you few drinks on him or something maybe.
But he's had clauses in his contract.
Okay.
To suit where he goes, and this clause obviously Dortmund when he signed was to Man City. His clause now he obviously has one, but just can't say it by the sounds of it, to go to Madrid or go somewhere else. So he'll move on in 4 years probably from City when Pep goes.
I think it's been mute that he said he wants to do those few years in the Premier League, then a few years in the league, and then maybe 4 years in Serie A, maybe to end his career.
That'd be good to get your insight, Stephen. That's not pub talk or transfer talk. This is how players plan their career.
No smoke without fire on that.
This is how players plan out their career now.
Because his agent, God bless, I think is Riola, who passed away, but obviously had a plan in place.
Yeah,
we'll sign this contract at Dortmund if you say he can go for this. Then we'll sign at Man City if you say he can go for this. Otherwise, we can go where we want.
Okay.
So he literally has changed the market in terms of when you sign a player, how you go about it. So he has it planned out. Man City got him on the cheap. Real Madrid will get him on the cheap, but they got to pay his wages. But when you're scoring that many goals, you don't mind giving him £900 a week. It's frightening, isn't it?
How does it work then, Stephen? Say, let's imagine just your traditional normal player, not this super player. How involved are managers? Like, how do transfers work now compared to maybe when you were a player?
It all depends on the individual, who you have, how young he is. If you got a 30-year-old that's like, okay, Stephen, financially I need to get rewarded in this contract.
Okay.
If you've got a 19-year-old, but how am I going to get to the highest level?
Yeah.
So this is the pathway you should think. I can never tell him where to go. It has to be, I give him options. Yeah. I'll give him ideas. This is what I think it is, but it's your career. You've got to decide where you go.
So when this young, say just for argument's sake, Stephen, the young 19-year-old footballer who has a lot of potential and wants to play at a higher level, is it your job then to tout him to bigger clubs? Do you call up clubs?
So I'll give an example. I think it's Carl Rushford is the goalkeeper that I look after. He probably won't mind me saying this, but he was at Halifax. When I found out the contract, it was a non-contract, so he could go anywhere for 7 days' notice.
Okay.
So probably the first time I felt like Eddie Hearn. I went club to club.
I've got this keeper.
Yeah, in an Irish accent, of course, right? Put that straight. He's in Dublin this weekend, isn't he, for the fight? But so he went Man United, Arsenal, Brighton. And I said, you've got to call where you go. It's your decision. These are the 3 clubs you're going to go to. He wasn't ready to play in the first team, so he had to go to an academy to learn, to get trained, full-time training. He had the option where he wanted to go. It cost him, probably he could have got more money at United, more money at Arsenal, but he wanted to go to Brighton because of the development. And even 3 years ago, Brighton weren't renowned as they are now.
Yeah.
Or how good they are. But we've seen the Irish boys come through. We've seen he's gone on loan to Walsall Player of the Year. He's gone on loan to Lincoln Player of the Year. And now he's got a host of championship teams / Brighton's.
Yeah.
He's on Brighton's radar now himself because he's played well. He's done well. He's a goalkeeper, but he's really good with his feet. So he's happy now. He's made the right call.
Yeah.
He could have went somewhere else, but he's developed and played games.
Our manager's not as involved as he used to be, Stephen. Say like Steve Coppell would have been a big manager for you.
Yeah,
really.
it's totally changed.
It's just the director of
but
football.
Different clubs are different. Like
Yeah.
there'll be some managers I pick the phone up to because they've got full control of wanting to sign players. They'll go and meet some of the players. Others is pointless, mate.
Yeah.
The manager doesn't want to do with it.
Really.
That he's been given his title, head coach. What players come in? This is the remit. So they want 4-2-3-1. We need players. I want players with pace on the wing. They'll have gone through it. Of course, they have an opinion on it. They'll be showing the final 2 or 3 players what to go for, what they like, and then they find character. They'll ring around. What's he like as a person? What's he like in the dressing room? And that's where you get bad names yourself. You've got to be careful. Like so, how you conduct yourself in bad situations is really important.
Well, I suppose because football is modernised so much now and it's all stats and data and all that you can just, I mean, there are databases out there, aren't there? So I need a player who is good with his right foot, is good in the air, and then you can just put that data into a database and it suggests to you 20, 30 different players.
So I have a guy that works for me on stats and he gets all the stats up for me and he tells me that Carl's stats are 25% better than Ramsdale, Sanchez, Bazuna, on most categories.
Okay.
That the first loan, second loan they've had. Like, to be fair to Rob Sanchez, he must have made 10 to 12 errors as a goalkeeper in his second loan, let alone his first loan. But that stood him in good stead to come back into Brighton.
Yeah.
And he learned from them mistakes. Goalkeepers are, listen, I've learned a lot. They're totally different.
So this kid you're talking about is on loan from Brighton, is he?
No, he's on loan to Lincoln. He was at Lincoln all season.
Okay.
From Brighton. So he's at Brighton.
Sorry, Brighton are his club.
Yeah,
they're
his club.
And he's on loan to Lincoln at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not big him up too much. But
No. So did you, did you get him to Brighton?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you ring up Brighton and go, listen, I have this kid.
Yeah.
He's really good. And what do they do then? They send someone to watch him?
So at the time, Brighton were first to come in for him.
Right, okay.
So he went to Brighton first. Now, funny enough, I actually knew 2 or 3 of the coaches at Brighton that were there. John Moreland actually was there for the FEI. He was there at the time. He'd done a great job at the academy. He would have been responsible for Ferguson going over, Moran and James Furlong, who I look after. So 3-4 Brighton players. Connolly is there as well. I think listen, it's mad how Brighton do it so well.
Yeah, Jamie Mullen's another Bowes player.
Get that in, like. So they've had a good history, and James Furlong has gone to Motherwell on loan. Played every single minute.
Yeah, he's had a really good season.
He's had a good run at it. Like, so it can work both ways. You need your first loan, your pathway. Like, if you didn't go to Walsall and play, Carl, he'd be back trying to get a loan, but he went and produced.
Yeah.
And my job is to give him options.
So we're a long way from Harry Redknapp just ringing up Nico Cranchar every time we move clubs.
What you doing?
Actually, you were telling us, I think Alan was telling about Harry Redknapp a few last couple of weeks ago when we were on, and
he had an interview with him.
I think I can say this, but it's banter and he can take it, and he took it well. Actually, it was after his tax. He was in court for his tax, and I was like somebody was injured, and I walked over, just picked up my water bottle, like, you fill in your tax returns this month. Wow, he just snapped at me, like, and I went, gotcha. And I could see the bench going, like, laughing at him, like.
That was your move to Spurs gone.
That was my move to Spurs gone. There's a story there, but we'll keep it for another day.
Stephen, we Robbie mentioned it to you there, that you played against that United team in an 07, 08, 09. They won 3 leagues in a row. They won a Champions League in 08. And, widely regarded as one of the best ever Manchester United teams. You came up against them a few times, and you mentioned Ronaldo actually when we were speaking about, the muscle he has compared to Anthony. But wasn't there was a story we read where it said you regretted not hitting Cristiano Ronaldo to this day. What was that about? Was it an incident, or was it just something?
No, listen, it sounds worse than what it is, but actually, I do regret it, but at the same time, I understood where I was at the time, and he crived into me blindly, really, and I've had an opportunity to take the ball off him, or I think I took the ball off him, But when you get that chance, I can leave one in here.
Yeah.
If I want it.
Get the ball and man.
And you can get away with it. But without VAR, you get away with it back then. And I actually just took the ball off him. And I thought, okay, I could have smashed you there. And but back then, fans rise off your seat. You get a lift off it, and you can gain confidence throughout the whole stadium.
That can be a momentum shifter, can't it?
Momentum, especially when you're 5'8". He's knocking over 6.
Would he talk much during the match, Ronaldo, to you?
Oh, do you know what? He just had a presence. He didn't. Really? He was 6'3", 4", whatever he was. I was beneath him, and a lot more. It wasn't just me, let me tell you. He had that presence about him where he stood upright and
chest out.
And listen, he earned every bit of respect because he scored goals. I think 45 goals that season.
That season was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That was his best ever season, in my opinion. His best he's ever been at physically. He went to Real Madrid. He obviously scored loads of goals. He's still great physical shape. Of course he was. It was be cheap to have a cheap shot to have a look at La Liga, if you know what I mean. But he left the Premier League when he had lots more left in him as well, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, he broke records at Real Madrid as well, let's be honest, and then went to Juventus and broke records there in Serie A, and it was only when he came back to United that the wheels started to come off a little bit. Yeah. And now he's looking for the move back from Saudi Arabia.
Where's he going next then?
That's a great... Stephen, get in touch. Start ringing. Have this Portuguese lad. He's getting on a bit, but I'll tell you something.
Mendes has an office in Dublin, and you could...
No way!
Yeah,
Has he really?
I think so, yeah. No, I'm not going to big him up, like. So.
Okay.
Go on to the next bit.
That's like a local corner shop.
That's where I've learned. I would have in the past. Now I'm more ruthless. I won't.
I suppose... we were going to touch into you because you come from two angles, Stephen, the player side and the agent side. In your own experience, what happens if a player is being pushed into a move by an agent, and how does that affect the squad and the player? Like, I'm not phrasing this right, Robbie. Do you want to jump in there? Like, what?
Yeah, I suppose. Like, how would you how agent led are these kind of moves that you often see, transfer moves coming up? Is it a player looking?
First and foremost, my job and all agents' job should be to give the player options.
Yeah.
And they decide from there. They want to discuss. And again, it goes back to your age profile, where you're at. So I had a player that we looked after that had to drop down 2 divisions, but was rewarded with a contract. Mm-hmm. And at first, when they phoned me, I said, no chance, come back to me another day, come back to me on some other player. And then they insisted on me hearing them out, to be fair. And I can say it was Thomas O'Connor. It was Wrexham that come in for him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a talented boy. He was probably one of the best defensive midfielders, and still is one of the best defensive midfielders outside of the Championship, I would say. He's 22. And he dropped down and didn't get promoted last year. And there was a little bit of me that felt sugar he'd be playing higher if it was. But he bought into the bigger future of Wrexham. And now it looks like a great decision, because not only the financial side of things, but the football side of things are massive down there now.
Yeah.
The exposure they're getting, they're going to play against Chelsea pre-season, they're going to play
Man United.
League 2. I went to watch them against Coventry, they had 8,000 Wrexham fans there. So that's the only example I can think of on my books that I can think of.
Yeah.
That was a tricky situation for me and the player, because you're getting the contractors in front of you, you go, wow, that's some contract.
Yeah.
And this is what I can do with this. And he's a sensible lad, very sensible. His dad's well educated, very low key, low maintenance, and he was going, this is a good offer, we think we should accept.
Yeah.
So I'll never say you have to go there. That's not how it works.
Okay.
And that shouldn't how it work. And if it does, then you got to think what's going on, like. And that's where you can get advised wrongly, but always the player has to come first, and you give him the picture of what you want. This is where you can get to in two years' time. You can get back within 18 months to where you were at Burton. When he left Burton, it didn't happen. Then he had to wait. So it's 2.5 years he had to wait to get back to where he wants to get to. So I'm sure they'll have a right good go at Promotion League 2.
Yeah, I think they will. They're the hottest ticket in the lower leagues, really, at the moment. They do all the exposure, Ryan Reynolds and...
listen, they party better than us. When we won the Championship in Vegas, and they got better looking after.
Oh, I see that, so they're all in... I was looking at, what's your man, the Liverpool striker they have? Mullins, yeah.
He's had some limelight.
Wow. And, he came down a couple of leagues as well, didn't he? But, he was offered good money to drop down those leagues, and he's proved right, because now
and you know
there's talk of him playing for Wales and all now.
He can adapt to Wales. But what I would say about Tom is that I didn't see him in many pictures.
Right.
And I was like, where are you, Tom?
Get your face
He's just low key. He's low key, mate.
Okay.
He doesn't want the limelight.
Right.
Happy to be playing. really like cool
Yeah.
lad from Kilkenny. He's on
Is
the
he
edge of
Kilkenny
Wexford,
man?
but he's
Yeah.
Kilkenny man.
I say he's having a lot of Haaland chats then, do you?
But yeah, we do. We do.
You need to
I
show
don't
him
win, do I? Like, I don't. Let's be honest.
You need to
Kilkenny
show him
Warford.
that Jason Tyndall account. Like, be like this guy.
No, but I exactly. I don't want him to be like that. I want him to be
So
him.
halfway between there,
Yeah, sorry, like
We're looking back at your career again, Stephen, and we love your career. It's such a fascinating career. So lots of great stories. Like there was an incident we were laughing at earlier on in the meeting. The Hull and Arsenal players were charged for player conduct. He's had a big melee on the pitch, and it said Stephen Hunt then clashed with Nasri, and a mass confrontation took place in front of the referee Steve Bennett, where Arsenal goalkeeper Al Mooney sprinted 100 yards to get involved. Do you remember that incident and what sparked it off? And
So I remember at half time, my brother-in-law is an Arsenal fan.
okay, good start.
Stephen, get me a jersey. Get me a jersey. So I had agreed with a player for a jersey end of the game. I'm not even going to give him the limelight, right? He was a number 10. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, right.
So
I think I know who it is.
literally, I turned around and I have had this fella up by the neck. Well, I say I've had him up by the neck. I'm trying to get him by the neck because most of the players are up there. And end of the game, I went, any chance? So no, I got told bluntly, get lost, like, and listen. Melees, once you don't raise your hand or you don't, like, you can grab people, you can do what you want. And I was always on the edge.
Yeah.
And I looked more flat, more aggressive because of my hair. I have to say, it stood out a bit more.
A bit of bounce there, yeah.
But I was in the middle. I remember a couple of players, Robert Hoof and Shawcross. Now they had me by the throat, and I couldn't do that. And the two of them
Two big
picked
lads.
on me. Two big lads.
Yeah.
Different game, different thing. But I went, okay, I'm not winning here. And I just started laughing at them, and I was like,
You know when your race is run.
Well, no. I knew it was run, of course.
Yeah.
But I also knew that they knew what I was doing, so they went, "Come on, lad.
Right,
Look at us, like, don't be silly, like." And I went, "Okay, come on, and let's crack on with the game, like."
Well, you don't know what sparked that incident at all. Was it just a bad tackle or something?
I think
or was it?
It was on the edge of the box, I think, and it was a lot going on. It was just one of them where
There's a bit of needle.
quickly there was 10, 20 bodies around,
Yeah.
and there was nothing happening, but it looked worse than what it was. If you know what I mean. And
Right.
people are running and they're all panicking, but
Yeah.
it happens.
I mean, like it has changed in the last while, I suppose, in modern day football. In terms of, I mean, I was at Old Trafford for the United against Southampton game, and Casemiro was sent off because he grabbed Will Lewis by the collars of his jersey. He didn't have his hands around his neck, but he had him by the collars. And then because when you freeze frame that, it looks like he's choking him. And then if you let the video play, you see the two of them laughing and they're hugging each other. Then, but he was sent off because it looked aggressive. But as you said back then, you probably would have got away with it.
You
a
definitely
little
would have
bit
got
more.
away with it.
Do you think modern day football is a little bit too soft now, Stephen?
Solskjaer said you were all snowflakes. Do you see that?
Oh,
Solskjaer
yeah.
said
Yeah.
all the Man United players were snowflakes.
That's well, he said it over the week because he was in Old Trafford the first time since he got pushed out of the club.
Yeah, he didn't name names now, but
Well, you could probably name him if you looked through the team. You wouldn't be.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be
He's
too
talking
far
about
off.
him,
Fella.
him,
Yeah.
and him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would be your opinion on that, Stephen? Do you think the game has changed and that players?
I think
are
players
more
can
sensitive
still
now?
they can still grab each other and they can actually hold you by the shirt there and it can be aggressive.
Yeah.
But once you go past that collar there and you're on the edge of someone's face, then if someone falling down or something, making terrible moves here. But you know what I mean? You have to be careful. You have to hold them, not raise your hands, and give him your strength that way.
Yeah.
But Aidan McGeady was an international colleague of yours,
Yeah.
and you know, I think you said, and I think a lot of Irish fans would echo that, Stephen, is that a man with unbridled talent and probably didn't go as high as his talent deserved. Would you agree with that? And what was your opinion on Aidan McGeady as a player?
So as a player, when you're in the moment, right, you always look at your own strengths and go, I'm a hell of a player. That's the belief you have to have, right?
Yeah.
So your strengths that you have, you think that, but when you come out of the game, you realise people are different.
Yeah.
They have different strengths. They don't have the fight that I have.
Right.
But I didn't have the talent he had.
Okay.
His feet were a joke. Like, they were so good, so talented. You always think, could he have done better? It's a bit like the James Madison thing. He's so much ability. Has he improved physically over the years? Can he improve physically? He never, but maybe he couldn't. Maybe his body wasn't allowing him to improve physically. James Madison could be the same, but could he have done better, Aidan McGeady? No, because that was just Aidan. That was his style. I changed my opinion on that because over time, as you get to know players and how to manage players, you can't just expect everyone to run around like I did.
Yeah.
It's impossible because everyone's different. Everyone has different thought process, and probably a disappointing answer, but that's probably the truth of it.
No, not at all. It was an answer. That's all I wanted of you, Steve. We've touched upon it earlier on as well. Glenn Whelan retired.
Yeah.
And, he's been a great servant to Irish football over the years, and often a much maligned, often
Unfairly.
criticised. Oh, yeah, exactly, unfairly. But what you always got out of Glenn Whelan, I felt, was 100% effort and would leave everything out on the pitch. Your thoughts and opinion of Glenn Whelan?
Yeah, so I would say it's very easy because he was a holding midfielder. He tried 100%. He was actually very unselfish with certain situations. He would sacrifice himself for the team, so he'd sit in a holding midfield where he'd rather be getting in the box too.
Of course, yeah.
His early days as a player with Sheffield Wednesday, he scored a lot of goals from the edge of the box. So as he went by, he got more and more team orientated, which again I suppose it got him in the team.
Yeah.
He knew under Trapattoni, if I stay here and I'm disciplined, I'm going to play in your team. Each player has to adapt to a manager. So if the manager wanted him to play attacking. Keith Andrews got in the box quite a bit under Trapattoni. Glenn Whelan stood all the time. He took one for the team, and that's what you got to do, and that's what he was. He was a team player.
And that shows his football IQ, I suppose.
Football IQ,
I think
100%.
your average fan, it's nearly like they don't understand the standards, like how hard it is for Glenn Whelan to be Glenn Whelan, to play like nearly 100 times for his country, to play like 15 years.
It's an incredible achievement.
15 years in England, play all those games. Like, it's not his fault that Trapattoni only played 2 midfielders against Spain. It's not his fault that he isn't like...
And left me on the bench.
We won't go there again.
I'm over that, lads. I'm over.
But yeah, people, I just don't know if people get the standards involved. Like, not in a condescending way to say that, but it's just to do all that type of stuff. It's very, very extremely difficult. You need to be so lucky, and so many players don't reach those levels. So yeah, like I've covered most of his games for Ireland, and like, it's not his fault he's not Xabi Alonso.
Yeah,
but
he's always there.
He has to see danger.
Yeah.
That was his job. He wasn't just sitting there to look around. He had to see where the danger was from attacking players. He had a lot of responsibility on the team. Yeah. So he didn't leave Richard Dunn isolated. He didn't leave John O'Shea, Stephen Ward, Kevin Kilban, who were playing left backs one-on-one, because he was there to show him inside, and that wouldn't have then looked like too glamorous if he's just shown him that way. A big job, and I texted him during the week congratulating him on the career, and obviously he's even coaching. Is he
coaching now?
He's coaching. He's at Bristol Rovers.
Oh, wow.
He's been doing a bit of, I think the last year, player coach anyway in the background.
Yeah.
So he'll be one that'll obviously go about his job now and try and be educated.
I've the height respect for Glenn Whelan, I have to say, particularly for his Irish career. And as you said, it takes a special kind of individual and mentality to earn nearly 100 caps for your country at international level. And the standout memory for me as an Irish international from Glenn was his goal against Italy at Croke Park. What a strike.
Amazing.
Ball played to the edge of the box, and he hits it first time into the top corner. I think it was at a wedding. And it was, because it was a big match, Ireland against Italy at Croke Park, and they stuck it on the big screen in the big the ballroom, and the whole place exploded, drinks everywhere. Go on, Glenn Hill. He was the hero of the night, he was. But
when we scored, am I right in saying, no, was that Sean Ledger saying that night?
Yeah.
So I'd kind of come on, and I remember I'd put a ball in for Ledger to score at that post, and we were really excited. Next minute, Pirlo got a half volley. Just split our defence. And I went, okay, that's the end of that then. It was 2-2 we on the night.
Put the fire out straight away.
Before we wrap, we might get Stephen his tip for the Champions League. It's going to be Man City, isn't it?
Man City with Haaland. It might be 4-3. It could be anything. I think both teams got the capability to score goals. I think Haaland will go on and be the man.
Okay. The tip for the Champions League, I'm going to go with the outsiders, the underdogs, Real Madrid.
Can I just say,
Real Madrid.
I have 2 tickets for the final.
What?
All paid for.
In Istanbul?
In Istanbul. Hospitality, right? Flights paid for. Get on this.
How do we avail of this?
My daughter's communion, get this right, is the next day. And if Man City get to the final, that might allow some flights to open up and get me home on the Saturday night. But if it doesn't...
yeah.
How do I tell the wife I'm not going to the communion?
We'll leave the listeners in suspense with that.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're giving them away, we'll definitely get back on the podcast.
I was thinking 10,000 a pop, no?
Well,
tickets, alcohol.
No.
Sorry, be careful. Sorry.
We'll see.
Everyone's over 21.
We'll revisit that. We'll see who gets through the semi-finals, and then we'll revisit that, Stephen. So we've come to the end of another episode of House of Football with Sports Joe and William Hill. I've been Eric Lawler, and delighted to say my guests this week have been Stephen Hunt and Robbie Redmond. So we'll be back again next week for another episode with all things football. So remember what to do. Click, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and get in on the fun. See you next week.
You've been listening to House of Football, brought to you by Sports Joe and William Hill.